Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something that is absolutely critical for any business that wants to succeed: IT governance. You can think of it as the master blueprint that makes sure your technology decisions are actually driving your whole business forward. So let's jump right in. So let me start with a question for you. Think about your own organization for a second. When it comes to making a huge IT investment, who's really calling the shots? Is there a clear, consistent process? Or does it feel more like chaos, where accountability is, well, let's just say it's a little fuzzy? And believe me, the stakes for getting this right are massive. Forrester Research found that enterprises are spending, on average, almost 5% of their entire revenue on IT. When you're talking about that kind of money, winging it isn't just inefficient, it's a serious financial risk. The truth is, a lot of companies are caught in what you might call a perfect storm. See, IT isn't just some back-office function anymore. It's right at the heart of business strategy. At the same time, the budgets are getting bigger, and new rules like Sarbanes-Oxley are piling on the pressure for airtight financial controls and accountability. And this really gets to the core of the problem. Without a solid plan, IT decisions just happen randomly, They're ad hoc. And that leads to tech projects that are completely disconnected from what the business actually needs, nobody's really accountable, and you have no idea if you're getting any return on your investment. So how do you fix this? How do you bring some order to all that chaos? Well, the answer is a concept that is absolutely fundamental for any high-performing organization: IT governance. At its heart, IT governance is just about setting the rules of the game. It's the framework that lays out exactly how tech decisions get made, who gets to make them, and who's on the hook for the results. It's all about making sure your technology isn't just supporting your company's strategy, it's actively pushing it forward. A really solid governance framework is built on three main pillars. You can kind of think of it like a legal case. First, you have the structure. That's the who. Who's on the jury? Second, you have the process. That's the how. What laws are they following? And third, you've got communication. That's the feedback loop. How is the verdict shared, and what did we learn? Okay, so before you can start building this awesome new framework, you've got to know what you're working with. You have to take a good, hard look at where your organization is right now. Most companies move through these 4 stages of maturity when it comes to IT governance. So ask yourself, where are you? Are you at stage 1, where it's a total free-for-all? Or maybe stage 2, where some teams are doing it right, but it's really fragmented? The goal, of course, is to get to stages 3 and 4, where everything is consistent, optimized, and just humming along, delivering serious value. And this brings up a super important point. There is no one-size-fits-all solution here. Your governance model has to match your company's structure. For example, if your IT department is centralized, the big challenge is to not become a dictatorship where the business units have no say. A decentralized model has the opposite problem. You're constantly fighting to avoid having 5 different teams building the exact same thing. A federated structure tries to get the best of both worlds, and a project-based one has to be really careful to pick and fund the right projects for the entire company. So why are we going through all this trouble? What's the point? Well, good governance is all about hitting these 4 connected goals: delivering real value to the business, managing your risks, making sure someone is actually accountable, and being able to measure your performance. Now for the great news. You do not have to invent all of this from scratch. There are well-established, proven frameworks out there that you can borrow from to build your own model. First up, there's COBIT. Just think of this as your go-to toolkit for building strong controls and audit trails. In today's world, with all the compliance rules, this is absolutely essential. Next, you've got ITIL, which stands for the IT Infrastructure Library. This one is all about best practices for managing IT services. So, if your main goal is to get better at delivering and supporting IT for the business, ITIL is your playbook. And finally, there's ISO 17799. This framework is laser-focused on one thing: helping you create a really effective information security plan. The main takeaway here is that you can, and probably should, mix and match pieces from all of these to build a system that's perfect for you. All right, let's put all the pieces together. Now we're going to look at the actual blueprint for action and see how you can bring those 3 pillars, structure, process, and communication, to life. So for structure, what does that actually look like? Well, it means things like making sure your chief information officer reports directly to the CEO, giving IT a real seat at the main table. It means creating steering committees with people from both the business and IT sides, so decisions are made together. And for process, it's about putting formal systems in place to guide those decisions. Things like IT portfolio management, where you treat all your tech investments like a stock portfolio that needs to be optimized. Or service level agreements, SLAs, which are basically contracts that clearly define what services IT provides and what they cost. And for that final pillar, communication, it's all about making sure everybody knows what's going on. An I2 Balance scorecard is an amazing tool for this because it turns big strategic goals into numbers you can actually track. And having a dedicated portal as a one-stop shop for all this information is a game changer.
Whew, okay, we've covered a ton of ground. So, what's the most important thing to take away from all this? And how can you actually get started without feeling totally overwhelmed?
The path to getting this right is actually pretty straightforward if you follow these 5 steps. And it all, and I mean all of it, starts with number 1, you have to get real, genuine buy-in from your top executives. After that, you build the structures, then you develop the processes, you borrow from the frameworks we talked about, and you never, ever, ever stop communicating. Because really, when you strip away all the frameworks and committees and scorecards, it all boils down to one simple, powerful idea: accountability. It's about being accountable for delivering value, for managing risk, and for making smart decisions with the company's money.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. Your tech decisions are not just about tech. They are fundamental business decisions that are going to define the future of your company. So the only question left is, who's holding the blueprint? Is your future being left to chance, or is it being managed with real purpose?